Hi folks, welcome to Exercise of the Month Conan Fitness. This is another stretch that we're looking at. This time it's the glutes or the butt area. Again, another really important muscle or group of muscles that work around the pelvis, low back, and just really important areas that need to be stretched out. Probably in our one of the top 4 or 5 most important stretches that we get people to do. So it's an anti-gravity stretch again. That means we're laying down, no need to have the muscles actively working, which is great. That means they can just totally relax, totally stretch. We show you some ways to intensify the stretch and to put variety into it to stretch various areas around the hip, butt, pelvis area. So let's have a look at some glute stretches. Okay, so for a very effective glute stretch or bum stretch, which is a really important muscle around the hip joint, low back, is this one. Again, using a staircase or a door frame somewhere where you can jump straight under it so one leg can go through. If I can invite you in, Mitchell, set yourself straight up under this staircase. So one leg is on the staircase, as in the sole of your foot is on it. And what we're going to do with the other one is sit cross-legged. Now, in order to get there, just do that again, you often have to lift the hips up in order to get that leg round. Then from there, the aim is just to gently lower yourself, gently lower the hips towards the floor. Now, before we go any further, that left leg there, which is the butt, the gluteal that we're stretching, how does that feel, mate? At a 10, 1 to 10, 1 is nothing, 10? Pretty tight. I also notice, if you can see, that Mitchell's hips are just off the floor. The idea is that we let them settle to the floor, and that's when the stretch really kicks in. And if you can't get it there, not a drama. Maybe you just need to shuffle back ever so slightly, just a tad. That's plenty. That's plenty. And then let the hips settle to the floor. Now, this in itself will be a stretch in itself and enough. What would you say out of 1 to 10?
I'll give you about a 6 at the moment.
6, yeah, so pretty good. We could probably go a little bit more. So I usually look for a 7 or 8 out of 10. Certainly not 9 or 10 because that's too intense. That's when the muscle's going to start grabbing. So from here, let's intensify this stretch. See if you can push your hips down onto the floor a little more. Now, once we've got that, here's where we're going to play with the stretch. We're going to stretch different areas of the glute muscle. So at the moment, Mitchell, point on that leg where you feel the majority of the stretch.
Oh, it's about in here.
Yeah, so pretty deep under the butt there. Fantastic. Now what I can get you to do is, from keeping the same position, is push your knee away, using kind of like just your elbow, leverage it away. So pushing it away, you'll feel it change as the hip joint slightly moves. Where do you feel that mostly?
Oh, pulling back up under here.
Where do you feel that? Yeah, so a little bit more on the leg part. Great. And hold that there. Again, all we're going to do is use the anti-gravity position, meaning he's just totally lying down. He doesn't have to use his leg muscles to hold anything. Doesn't have to hold himself up or anything. The only tension here is created by his arms. So by being totally relaxed, anti-gravity, you can let those muscle fibers totally loosen out. And as they do, you should feel that intensity of the stretch back off slightly. As you do, let's see if you can go a little further. Now once we've done that stretch, that's pushing, we're then going to change up and totally pull the leg. So now pull your knee straight onto that chest. That's it. Great. And where do you feel that stretch?
More on the side.
Okay, fantastic. Great. Again, just holding. Trying to keep the hips right down onto the floor. Good. Now what would you call that out of 10, 1 to 10?
About a 7, 8.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I was going to say, if that's not intense, I would shuffle in a bit. Yeah, because the more he shuffles in, the more this leg is going to kind of like pull the other leg right over him and stretch the butt, stretch that pelvis area. Does that feel pretty fine?
Yep, that's good.
Final variation is letting it go again so it goes back to its normal natural position. And so long as you're getting a stretch in this position, is that still stretched?
Yeah,
Has it backed off at all?
A little bit, but it's still a bit.
Yeah, what would you call it out of 10?
About a 6 again.
Yeah, so maybe shuffle in ever so slightly. So get it to about a 7 or an 8. That looks plenty. Let the hips go down. Is that a 7 or 8?
Yeah, that's up there.
Yeah, it's up there. Fantastic. What we're going to do now, folks, is we're going to rotate his whole leg structure towards me, kind of like you're doing a low back stretch, to push the stretch right to the outer part of the hip, outer part of the butt. So if you can do that, what you can do is slowly rotate, keep them down on the floor, keep the hips down. That's it, stay down on the floor. And as you rotate, it should push the stretch out onto the side of the butt here. Is that where you're feeling it?
Yep.
Perfect. He can even then use his right hand, still anti-gravity. His legs have to do nothing here. He's kind of like just falling to the side and just pull it down to his shoulder. And you should get a pretty good stretch over there. And it's a great stretch because, again, it's anti-gravity. You don't have to do work. But also, it's easy to do. It's like you can just fall into it and you're feeling a really nice, intense stretch. Does that feel pretty good?
Yep.
Again, folks, I would just rest in this position. It may take 2, 3, 4 minutes per side until those muscle fibers loosen out and the intensity of the stretch backs off. Obviously you'd switch sides and do the other leg, but use that as a really effective glute stretch.